Hi everyone, Trishna here. So in today's video, I want to do a healing to help us speak up for the things that really matter to us. A lot of times when we want to speak up on something that is truly important, we may have all of the desire to do so, but the fear holds us back, and it's almost like the words that we want to say get stuck in our throat and stop there, and we're unable to really say anything or blurt it out. And so I want to do a healing to help us release those fears so that we can have the words to say and we can actually put them out into the world for others to hear. So, when we want to communicate something to other people, something that is truly important and something that maybe may not necessarily be the popular belief at the point in time, but that we know deep down is really the right thing to do or the right thing to say or the right thing to express, we tend to get caught up in the ramifications. And so I want to talk about the ramifications first. The first thing that holds us back from wanting to communicate something is the fear of the ramifications that we will incur as a result of sharing our views or sharing our thoughts or sharing what's right. But there are two sides to the ramifications. So the first side is the ramifications that we ourselves will experience when we say something. The other side of it is the ramifications that the party that we may want to speak up for, the ramifications that they will endure if we don't say something. And so the fear that we usually have when we want to speak up about something is very much focused on the ramifications that we will endure, and it tends to downplay or forget about the ramifications that somebody else will endure if we do not speak up for them. And so the way to go about that, the way to release this fear, is to think about not just the ramifications that you will experience, but also the ramifications that somebody else will experience if you do not speak up for them. And to, in a sense, create a list of what will actually happen to me if I say something to support another, and what will happen to the other person or to the other group if I do not speak up for them, and if I do not try to support them, and if I do not try to help them. And I think that most of the time, especially when it's a really important issue, we will find that the list of what our personal ramifications will be is nowhere near, in comparison, the greatness of the impact that the other person will continue to experience or experience if we do not speak up for them. We live in a time where most of us, in most cases, generally, I know this does not apply 100% of the time, but where most of us will not incur physical ramifications for what we want to share with the world. We're not going to be hurt physically in any way. And again, this doesn't apply to everything. There are countries where there is physical punishment. There are households where there are physical ramifications. There are systems and institutions in place where, again, there are physical outcomes that are very truly hurtful. So this doesn't apply in all situations, but in most situations, we live in a world where if we share something and if we put something out there, if we share our truth, if we speak up for what really matters, we're not going to endure physical harm. The harm that we are at risk of enduring is social harm. And the thing about social harm, or like other people's perception of us, is that is something that is very fluid anyways. You don't have to speak up about something to have people think something bad about you just at the flip of a hat, because people can be very fickle. I've talked about this in my other videos, where their opinions on you are often tied to how they're feeling that day. So the social ramifications, yes, they are real, but that is just such a fluid thing. That's just not something that's something that can change at any point in time, really. And so, one, you need to know that, because you could choose to not say anything at all and still have some kind of social ramification just because of particular day, like how somebody's day is going at that point in time. And two, because the opinions of others are, again, extremely fluid, the social ramifications that you have can be reversed even though you speak up. It is something that you can change because, again, it is something that changes sometimes at the whim of the other person's mood. So they may not like what you say when you say it, but then they may have a different day, or somebody may tell them something else that changes their perception, and all of a sudden they like you again for what you have said already. So again, it's a very fluid thing. And while we are conditioned through evolution to think in a very tribal mindset and not want to break away from the herd for fear of being exiled out of the herd and then having to live on our own, and then again incur physical danger as a result of not being a part of the pack, while we are conditioned to think that way, the social ramifications that you may incur for speaking up most likely do not measure up, are nowhere near close to the amount of ramification that the other person or the other group may incur if you do not speak up for them. And because we are so connected all around the world at this point in time, even if you do lose your current herd and you do get exiled out of your herd, there are other herds around that are going to be very, very willing to pick you up and bring you in who are more aligned to your truth. And that is actually a blessing. So essentially, to remove the fear of being able to speak up for the things that really matter, you have to put into context the ramifications that you will receive for speaking up, and put that into the context of the ramifications that the other party will experience if you do not speak up. And once you see that balance, when you really look at that, that will help you align with the whole reason why you want to speak up in the first place. It will help you really focus on the reason why you want to say something in the first place. Because again, that is why you want to speak up, but the fear gets in the way and gets you to focus on the personal ramifications instead of what your real desire is, which is to ease the ramifications that somebody else may endure if you do not say something. And so a powerful question to ask yourself to help you relieve yourself of that fear that is holding you back from what you truly deep down want to do is to ask yourself the question, am I okay with allowing this other group to suffer so that I don't have to suffer just a little bit? So now we have released the fear of saying something in the first place. Then another fear tends to come up, which is, I don't know what to say, or I know what to say, but I don't know how to say it. And here are a few things around that. So first of all, once you remove the fear of saying something in the first place, a lot of times you will find yourself just blurting out the truth that you want to share before you're even able to realize what you're doing. And I want you to be okay with that. Because when we remove the fear and we are in alignment with speaking up for something that truly matters, when we're in alignment with our real truth, if we blurt something out, that is okay. Consider that the divine inspiring you to say those words. And a lot of times it's going to come out in a way that you would normally not say it. And that is okay, again, because it is divinely being pulled out of you because you have removed the fear that was blocking it before, that was getting you choked up when you wanted to say something. So if you say something and it doesn't come out the way that you want it to, understand that there really are no mistakes, especially when we are trying to do our best, and that those words will get carried in the way that they were meant to be carried. They will get said in the way that they were meant to be said. So don't fear saying things in the wrong way. Now, to help you say things in a way that you might prefer, here's a little bit of guidance around that. When you are trying to share your message with another person or another group, try to just imagine that they don't really know any better at this point in time. Or maybe imagine them as a child. If a child did something wrong, maybe, some of you would yell, but I think we could all look at that child and think, oh, they just didn't know better. Let me just tell them the right way. Let me just show them the right way. Let me just teach them the right way. So look at this other group or this other person, whoever you need to speak the truth to. Look at them and just assume for that moment that they just don't know any better. They don't know that they're doing wrong, or maybe they're not informed, or something like that. And if you can't do that, just imagine them as a child, or imagine that you're speaking to a child that simply just didn't know better. And when you do that, you're going to say whatever you need to say from the place of the heart, from the place of kindness, where you are sharing your truth, but you're doing it in a way where it comes from a place of love and trying to help another person grow or see a different perspective. And so when you come to the conversation with that kind of energy, it's just going to show through your body language. It's also going to come through in the words that you speak. And so you're going to say things in the best way. So that sums up the healing for this video. Remember that if there is a truth that you need to speak, that you want to share, that you're only being held back by the fear. And that fear has to do with you taking your focus off of the real reason why you want to speak up, and now suddenly focusing, because of the fear, on the ramifications that you will incur. But most of the time when something needs to be said, when a truth needs to be shared, when a message needs to be put out there, it is because in actuality the ramification that you will experience is nowhere near the ramifications that the other group is going to experience if you do not say something. And it's just the fear that is confusing you and muddling your brain and trying to protect you so that you don't get exiled from the herd by sticking your neck out on the line and breaking away from the pack for a moment. But remember that there will always be another pack to take you in, one that aligns much more with your truth, and that is truly a blessing. And You can work with your new tribe and work to build an even stronger movement. And also any kind of social ramifications, which are generally the ramifications that we will experience for speaking up about something. Those social ramifications are very fluid and they can change at the drop of a hat. So they're not something that you should really put a lot of weight on, because you just never know which way the wind is going to blow that day. And once you understand those things, a lot of the fear that you feel will be removed. And then it just becomes about sharing that truth and actually verbalizing what you want to verbalize. And if you say things in the wrong way, there is no wrong way to speak something when you are aligned with your truth. And just understand that whatever you say ends up being said in the way that it needed to be said in that moment to that person or to that group. And if you want some tips to help with making sure that you say it in the best way, then just try to focus on the other person or the other group that you're wanting to share that message with. Focus on them and think of them as though they simply don't know better and just need some education or teaching or showing, or just imagine that they are a child, and how would you speak to a child if you're trying to teach them a better way of doing things. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I hope I earned your like and your subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.